Love. Love without action is meaningless, and action without love is irrelevant. Let yourself be silently drawn by the stronger pull of what you really love. Having a vision of your life allows you to live out of hope rather than out of your fears. To understand the heart and mind of a person, look not at what he has already achieved, but at what he aspires to do. Nothing ever goes away until it has taught us what we need to know. I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know, the only one among you who will be truly happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. If you want to know the past, to know what has caused you, look at yourself in the present for what that is the past effect. If you want to know your future, when you look at yourself in the present, for is what the cause of the future. All of life is a near-death experience. When you were born, you cried and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. There is a time to let things happen and a time to make things happen. Life is what happens when you are making other plans. Circumstance does not make the man. Circumstance reveals a man to himself. Time is too slow for those who wait, too swift for those who fear, too long for those who grieve, and too short for those who rejoice. But for those who love, time is eternity. Truly, loving another means letting go of all your expectation. It means full of acceptance, even celebration of another's personhood. It's not how much we do, but how much we love. We put in the doing. It's not how much we give, but how much love we put in the giving. People take different roads seeking fulfillment and happiness. Just because they are not on your road doesn't mean they have gotten lost. We look forward to the time when the power of love will replace the love of power. Then will our world know the blessings of peace. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. Yes, 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 yes. Oh Lord, these are such beautiful things, you know. Want to know some Chinese proverbs? Would be great. I love proverbs. A crisis is an opportunity riding in the dangerous wind. It's better to be without a book than to believe a book entirely. A little impatience will spoil great plans. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. If you bow at all, bow low. A smile will get you 10 more years of life. A bird does not sing because it has an answer, it sings because it has a song. A book holds a house of gold. Talk does not cook cries. A man who cannot tolerate small misfortunes can never accomplish great things. Experience is a comb which nature gives us when we are bored. Be not afraid of growing slowly, be afraid only of standing still. Behave toward everyone as if receiving a guest. A fall into a ditch makes you wiser. Better a diamond with flaw than a pebble without one. He who asks is a fool for 5 minutes, but he who does not ask remains a fool forever. An inch of time is an inch of gold, but you can't buy that inch of time but with an inch of gold. A closed mind is like a closed burn, just a block of wood. Better to light a candle than to curse darkness. A needle is not sharp at both ends. Even a hair will bite when it is cornered. Habits are cobwebs at first, cables at last. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best is today. In a group of many words, there is bound to be a mistake somewhere in them. Govern a family as you would cook a small fish, very gently. Patience is bitter, bland, but its fruit is sweet. Listening well is as powerful as talking well and is also as essential to true conversation. Two good talkers are not worth one good listener. 100 no's are less agonizing than one sincere yes. He who cheats the earth will be cheated by the earth. Only one who can swallow an insult is a man. One beam, no matter how big, cannot support an entire house on its own. Better the cottage where one is married than a palace where one weeps. Distant waters does not put out a nearby fire. The more acquaintances you have, the less you know them. He who thinks too much about every step he takes will always stay on one leg. All things change and we change with them. If we want to find out about the road ahead, then ask about it from those coming back. Genius can be recognized by its childish simplicity. There are two kinds of perfect people, those who are dead and those who have not been born yet. A clear conscience never fears midnight knocking. Learning is a wetlands treasure. You can always carry easily. Want a thing long enough and you don't? Married couples tell each other 1,000 things without space. Small men think they are small and great men. No, they are great. Do everything at the right time and one day will seem like three. Solve one problem and you keep 100 others away. It is easy to open a store. The hard part is keeping it open. To be totally at leisure for one day is to be immortal for one day. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Teachers, open the door. You enter your void by yourself. Ripe fruit falls by itself, but it doesn't fall in your mouth. If you are patient in one moment of anger, you will escape 100 days of sorrow. Before preparing to improve the world, first look around your own home 3 times. Was aggrieved, for I had no shoes. I was angered, for I had no shoes. Then I met a man who had no feet. Men trip not on mountains, they trip on molehills. Do not want others to know what you have done. Better not have done it anyway. A man without a smiling face must not open shop. It's not the knowing that is difficult, but the doing. A wise man makes his own decisions, but an ignorant man mindlessly follows the crowd. People who talk the best are not the only ones who can tell you the most interesting things. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. Do not believe that you will reach your destination without leaving the shore. If you want to avoid being cheated, ask for prices at 3 different stores. A clever person turns great troubles into little ones and the little ones into none at all. The person who is his own master cannot tolerate another boss. Guessing is cheap, but guessing wrong can be expensive. Learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. A bird can roost but on one branch. A mouse can drink not more than its fill from the river. A person of high principles is one who can watch an entire chase game without making a comment. To know another is to know the person's face, but to know the person's heart. No matter how tall the mountain is, it cannot block the sun. Tenacity and adversity are old foes. Think about your own foes during the first half of the night and the foes of others during the second half. If you want your children to have a peaceful life, let them suffer a little hunger and a little coldness. Tell me, I'll forget. Show me, I may remember. Involve me, I'll understand. When reading, don't let a single word escape your attention. One word may be worth 1,000 pieces of gold. Trial often exhibits truly wonderful result. He that reckons without his host must reckon again. I would rather trust a woman's instinct than a man's reason. A good opportunity is seldom presented and is easily lost. Marx reaches us to blame society for our frailties. Few teaches us to blame our parents, and astrology teaches us to blame the universe. The only place to look for blame is within. You didn't have the guts to bring up your full moon and live your life that was your potential. Of all the characteristics of ordinary human nature, envy is the most unfortunate. Not only does the envy person wish to inflict misfortunes and do so whenever he can with impunity, but he is also himself rendered unhappy by envy. Instead of deriving pleasure from what he has, he derives pain from what others have. The vast concerns of the eternal scene. English equivalent: don't postpone till tomorrow what you can do today. Beware Lorenzo, a slow sudden death. How dreadful that deliberate surprise. Be wise today is madness to deter. All right. A man grows most tired while standing still. Dig the well before you are thirsty. When the winds of change blow, some people build walls and others build windmills. He who asks a question is a fool for 5 minutes. He who does not ask a question remains a fool forever. Tell me, I forget. Show me, I remember. Involve me, I understand. What do you not wish for yourself? Do not do for others. Wheresoever you go, go with all your heart. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. You take much and arrive nowhere is the same as climbing a tree to catch a fish. If your mind is strong, all difficult things will become easy. If your mind is weak, all easy things will become difficult. Every child born has innate goodness. Often one finds one's destiny just where one hides to avoid it. If you always give, you will always have. Give a man a fish and you feed him for the day. Teach him how to fish and feed him for a lifetime. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. He who sacrifices his conscience to ambition burns a picture soaked in the ashes. We count our miseries carefully and as separable blessings without much thought. If you plan for 1 year, plant rice. If you plan for 10 years, plant trees. If you plan for 100 years, educate mankind. Make happy those who are near and those who are far will come. Be not afraid of growing slowly, be afraid only of standing still. A single conversation with a wise man is worth a month's study of books. Outside noisy, inside empty. True knowledge is when one knows the limitations of one's knowledge. A bad word or shit will echo 100 miles. A wise man makes his own decisions. An ignorant man follows public opinion. A bird does not sing because he has an answer to something. He sings because he has a song. Learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. To understand your parents' love, you must raise children yourself. If your face is ugly, you can't blame the mirror. The person attempting to travel 2 roads at once will get nowhere. Pearls don't lie on the seashore. If you want one, you must die for it. Don't listen to what they say. Go see. An invisible thread connects those who are destined to meet. The more you sweat in practice, the less you bleed in battle. He who turns for a journey, returns from a journey, is not the same as he who left. Tension is who you think you should be. Relaxation is who you are. Control your emotions or they will control you. All things are difficult before they are easy. Man's schemes are inferior to those made by heaven. Your teacher can open the door, but you must enter by yourself. A man grows most tired while standing still. Dig the well before you are thirsty. When the winds of change blow, some people build walls and others build windmills. He who asks a question is a fool for 5 minutes. He who does not ask a question remains a fool forever. Tell me, I forget. Show me, I remember. Involve me, I understand. What you do not wish for yourself, do not do to others. Wheresoever you go, go with all your heart. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. To talk much and arrive nowhere is the same as climbing a tree to catch a fish. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. He who sacrifices his conscience to ambition burns the picture to obtain the ashes. Be not afraid of growing slowly, be afraid of only standing still. Yes. He who returns from a journey is not the same as he who left. Tension is who you think you should be. Relaxation is who you are. Control your emotions or they will control you. All things are difficult before they are easy. Man's scheme are inferior to those made by heaven. Your teacher can open the door, but you must enter by yourself. To believe in one's dream is to spend all of one's life asleep. He who asks is a fool for 5 minutes, but he who does not ask remains a fool forever. Wow. A bit of fragrance clings to the hand that gives flowers. A book holds a house of gold. A book is like a garden carried in the pocket. A book tightly shut is but a block of paper. A child's life is like a piece of paper on which every person leaves a mark. A diamond with a flaw is worth more than a pebble without imperfections. A filthy mouth will not utter decent language. A fool judges people by the presents they give him. A gem is not polished without rubbing, nor a man perfected without trials. A nation's treasure is in its scholars. A rat who gnaws at a cat's tail invites destruction. Be not afraid of growing slowly, but be afraid only of standing still. Be the first to the field and the last to the coach. Deep doubts, deep wisdom. Small doubts, little wisdom. Dig the well before you are thirsty. Go do good, reap good. Do evil, reap evil. Do not employ handsome servants. Do not fear going forward slowly. Fear only to stand still. Do not remove a fly from your field's forehead with a hatchet. Don't open a shop unless you like to a smile. Each generation will reap what the former generation has sown. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. He who asks a fool for 5 minutes but he who does not ask remains a fool forever. He who is drowned is not troubled by the rain. He who strikes the first blow admits he's lost the argument. If heaven made him, earth can find some use for him. If you are patient in one moment of anger, you will escape 100 days of sorrow. If you bow at all, bow low. If you don't want anyone to know, don't do it. Keep your broken arm inside your sleeve. Not until just before dawn do people sleep best. Not until people get old do they become wise. Brace yourself 1 foot and you get 10 feet of wind. Teachers open the door, you enter for yourself. The gem cannot be polished without friction, nor man perfected without trials. The miracle is not to fly in the air or to walk on the water, but to walk on the earth. The palest ink is better than the best memory. To know the road ahead, ask those coming back. When you drink the water, remember the spring. When you have only 2 pennies left in the world, buy a loaf of bread with one and a lily with the other. A lie runs until it is forsaken by the truth. A love that can last forever takes but a second to come about. Cheese, wine, and a friend must be old to be good. Anger is the only thing to put off until tomorrow. Do not always expect good to happen, but do not let evil take you by surprise. Do not protect yourself by your friends, but rather by your friends. The big thieves hang the little ones. When you go to buy, use your eyes, not your ears. A good example is like a belly that calls many a church. Ask advice only of your equals. Bad is never good until worse happen. He is most cheated who cheats himself. He who's afraid to ask is ashamed of learning. He who can leap high must take a long run. A handful of patience is worth more than a bushel of brains. Don't throw away your old shoes until you have got new ones. In the courtroom of the conscience, a case is always in progress. Our faults irritate us most when we see them in others. Do not rejoice over what has not yet happened. A full cup must be carried steadily. A man is as old as he feels himself to be. A smooth sea never made a skilled mariner. A stumble may prevent a fall. Absence sharpens love, presence strengthens it. Danger and delight grow on one stalk. Don't fall before you are pushed. Give neither advice nor salt until you are asked for it. He that plants trees loves others besides himself. The absent are always in the wrong. Use soft words and hard arguments. Write down the advice of him who loves you, though you like it not in present. A crow is no mitre for being watched. Adversity is the touchstone of friendship. Anger is a bad counselor. Better the foot slip than the tongue. Everything passes, everything breaks, everything varies. From word to deed is the greatest space. Goodness is the only investment that never fails. Greedy eaters dig their graves with their teeth. He that seeks trouble never misses. On honey is sweet, but best bee sting. If the young only knew, if the old only could. If you want the truth, ask the child. Wait until it is night before saying that it has been a fine day. He that promises most will perform least. A country can be judged by the quality of its proverbs. A hedge between keeps friending friendship green. A poor person isn't he who has little, but he who needs a lot. Anger without power is folly. As fast as laws are devised, their evasion is contrived. Charity sees the need, not the cause. God gives, but man must open his hand. He who teaches children learns more than they do. If you have a good friend, you don't need a mirror. It's the whole, not the detail, that matters. Never give advice unless asked. He who begins too much accomplishes little. A word out of season may mar the whole lifetime. Eat and drink with your relatives. Do business with strangers. For secure and independent income, then practice virtue. Everyone is the age of their heart. Do not insult the mother alligator until after you have crossed the river. Do not confine your children to your own learning, for they were born in another time. Help the brothers boat across, and lo, thine own has reached the shore. Every time one laughs, a nail is removed from one's coffin. Grief Shared is half grief, joy shared is double joy. Call on God, but roll away from the rocks. Keep 5 yards from the carriage, 10 yards from the horse, 100 yards from the elephant, but the distance one should keep from a wicked man cannot be measured. A diplomat must always think twice before he says anything. A dog owns nothing, yet is seldom dissatisfied. A hair on the head is worth two in the bush. A kind word never broke anyone's mouth. A lie travels farther than the truth. A light heart lives long. A silent mouth is the sweet to hear. A turkey never voted for an early Christmas. Better be quarreling than lonesome. Bricks and mortar make the house, but the laughter of children makes the home. Don't break your shin on a stool that is not in your way. Even the longest day has this end. Give away all you like, but keep your belts and your temper. Good luck beats early rising. If you dig a grave for others, you might fall into it yourself. If you get a reputation as an early riser, you can sleep till noon. It's no use carrying an umbrella if your shoes are leaking. Praise the young and they will flourish. Praise youth and it will prosper. The believer is happy, the doubter is wise. You have got to do your own growing, no matter how tall your grandfather was. A wise man cares not for that which he cannot have. After the game, the king and the pawn go into the same box. Better know law than laws not enforced. By asking for the impossible, we obtain the possible. By learning to obey, you will know how to command. Everyone loves justice in the affairs of another. Gratitude is the memory of the heart. He that jokes confesses. He who begins many things finishes but few. If you scatter thorns, don't go barefoot. It's not enough to aim, you just hit. Once the game is over, the king and pawn go back in the same box. Once the game is over, the king and the pawn go back in the same box. One may have good eyes, yet see nothing. The best armor is to keep out of range. To a quick question, give a slow answer. Art is an illusion of spontaneity. Beginning is easy, continuing is hard. Don't stay long when the husband is not at home. Fall down 7 times, get up 8, fall 7, stand up 8. Gossip about a person and his shadow will appear. If you believe everything you read, better not read. In a quarrel, the higher voice person will win. Never rely on the glory of the morning, nor the smiles of your mother-in-law. One kind word can warm 3 winter months. The riverside also has a riverside. When the character of the man is not clear to him, look at his friends. A bird that you see set free may be caught again, but a word that escapes your lips will not return. A mother understands what a child does not say. A pessimist confronted with 2 bad choices chooses both. As he thinks in his heart, so he is. As you teach, you learn. Ask about your neighbors, they buy the house. Do not be wise in words, be wise in deeds. Don't be sweet, lest you be eaten up. Don't be bitter, lest you be spewed out. Don't live in a town where there are no doctors. Don't look for more honor than your learning merits. First mend yourself and then mend others. He that can't endure the bad will not live to see the good. If charity costs nothing, the world would be full of philanthropists. If God lived on earth, people would break his windows. If not for fear, sin would be swayed. If the rich could hire the poor to die for them, the poor would make a very nice living. Make sure to be in with your equals if you are going to fall out of your superiors. Not to have felt pain is not to have been human. Rejoice not at thine enemy's fall, but don't rush to pick him up either. Why don't you see with your eyes? Don't invent with your mouth. Worries go down better with soup than without blind belief is dangerous. He who refuses to obey cannot command. Peace is costly, but it is worth the expense. If you kick a stone in anger, you'll hurt your own foot. Do not throw the arrow which will written against you. By learning, you will teach. By teaching, you will learn. If the wind will not serve, take to the oars. And are honorable. To be accused by those who deserve to be accused, it is a part of the good shepherd to shear his flock, not to skin it. Never give a child a sword, a smiling face is half the meal. Beware of man to whom you have done a good turn. Daylight follow a dark night. Don't think there are no crocodiles because the water is calm. I will charge thee nothing but the promise that thee will help the next man thee finds in trouble. Wow. Beautiful. A good resolution is like an old horse which is often saddled but rarely ridden. Conversation is food for the soul. Do good and don't worry to whom. He who divides and shares is left with the best share. He who does not venture has no luck. He who doesn't look ahead remains behind. The house is not dressed upon the ground but upon a woman. A brave man dies but once, a coward many times. Never criticize a man until you have walked a mile in his moccasins. Eyes that see do not grow old. He who waits for a chance may wait for a long time. Hold a true friend with both hands. However far the stream flows, it never forgets its source. Ask questions from your heart and you will be answered from the heart. If you wish your merit to be known, acknowledge that of other people. Do not cut down the tree that gives you shade. Go and wake up your luck. Use your enemy's hand to catch a snake. A fault confessed is half redressed. A guest sees more in an hour than the host in a year. Conscience is the voice of the soul. Eagles fly alone, but sheep flock together. Fortune is a giver and a taker. Fortune's wheel is ever turning. God pays, but not weekly wages. He is rich enough that wants nothing. A kind word is like a spring day. A man is judged by his days, not by his words. A spoken word is not a sparrow. Once it flies out, you can't catch it. Do not spit in the well. You may be thirsty by and by. Don't buy the house, buy the neighborhood. Gossip needs no carriage. Go off into the house of thy friend, for weeds soon choke up the unused path. A bad wound may heal, but a bad name will kill. A bird in the hand is worth two fleeing by. A child may have too much of his mother's blessing. A cold needs the cook as much as the doctor. A child may have too much of his mother's blessing. Bees that have honey in their mouths have sting in their tails. Better be ill spoken of by one before all than of all before one. Charity begins at home but shouldn't end there. Children speak in the field what they hear in the house. Danger past, God forgotten. He that loves the law will get his fill of it. Books are hindrances to persisting stupidity. Discretion is knowing how to hide that which we cannot remedy. Drink nothing without seeing its sign, nothing without reading it. He who is caught in a lie is not believed until when he tells the truth. How beautiful it is to do nothing and then rest afterward. If you want to be respected, you must respect yourself. Never advise everyone to go to war or to marry. Take hold highly, let go lightly. This is one of the greatest secrets of felicity in love. Whoever gossips to you will gossip about you. Don't let your sorrows come hide on your knees. Don't throw away the old bucket until you know whether the new one holds water. God gives every bird his worm, but he does not throw it into the nest. One should be invited to a friend in good fortune and uninvited in misfortune. A high tide fish eat ants, at low tide ants eat fish. For the birds that cannot soar, God has provided low branches. A good friend will fit you like a ring to finger. Blood is inherited and the virtue is acquired. Don't talk unless you can improve the silence. Buy on the rumor. Sell on the news. Bad news goes about in clogs. Good news is stockinged feet. Be honorable yourself if you wish to associate with honorable people. He that would be a leader must be a bridge. A child steer rents the heaven. A guest is like rain. When he lingers on, he becomes a nuisance. A half-truth is a whole lie. A man's worst enemies can't wish on him that he can think of by himself upon himself. A person should want to live if only out of curiosity. Bygone troubles are a pleasure to talk about. He that can't endure the bad will not live to see the good. If a man is destined to drown, he will drown even in a spoonful of water. If rich people could hire other people to die for them, the poor will make a wonderful living. If you can't fight, don't show your teeth. If you can't go over, you must go under. If you ever need a helping hand, you will find at the end of your arm. Other people's troubles are hearable. True poverty must not come from God. Complaint is to one who can help you. If you wish to know what a man is, place him in authority. You can't turn back the clock, but you can wind it up again. Marriage is really tough because you have to deal with feelings and lawyers. I never met anybody who said that said when they were a kid, I want to grow up and be a critic, be a craftsman in speech, that thou mayst be strong, for the strength of one is the tongue, and speech is mightier than all fighting. A suspicious mind always look on the black side of things, admonish thy friends in secret, press them openly. An angry man is again angry with himself when he returns to reason. Count not him among your friends, who will retail your privacies to the world. Depend not on the fortune, but on conduct. Everything is worth what its purchaser will pay for it. How unhappy is he who cannot forgive himself? If you refuse where you have always granted, you invite the theft. In a heated argument, we are apt to lose the sight of truth. It is folly to punish your neighbor by fire when you live next door. It is more tolerable to be refused than deceived. It is not profit to have learned well. It is if you neglect to do well. Learn to see in another's calamity the else which we should have avoided. Look to be treated by others as you would be treated others. You have treated others. Never promise more than you can perform. Ready tears are a sign of treasury, not of grief. It's foolish to fear what you cannot avoid. Today is the pupil of yesterday. We must give lengthy deliberations to what has to be decided once and for all. You should not live one way in private, another in public. A fair exterior is a silent recommendation. A good reputation is more valuable than money. A rolling stone gathers no more anyone can hold. The hemp when the sea is calm. Better be ignorant of a matter than half know it. Do not turn back when you are just at the goal. Every day should be passed as if it were to be a good task. For a good cause, wronging is virtuous. For a good cause, wrongdoing is virtuous. He doubly benefits the needy who gives quickly. I often regretted my speech, never my silence. It is bad plan that admits of no modification. It is a consolation to the rest to have companions. In misery, it is very hard undertaking to seek to please everybody. It is better to learn late than never. It is not every question that deserves an answer. It is only the ignorant who despise education. It takes a long time to bring excellence to maturity. Let's a fool hold his tongue, and he will pass for a sage. Many receive advice, few profit by it. Money alone sets all the world in motion. Never find your delight in another's misfortune. No man is happy who does not think himself so. No one knows what he can do till he tries. No one should be judged in his own case. Nothing can be done at once hastily and prudently. Pardon one offense, and you encourage the commission of many. Prosperity makes friends, adversity tries them. Speech is a mirror of the soul. As a man sees, so is he. The fear of the rest is more to be dreaded than death itself. The judge is condemned when the criminal is absolved. The loss which is unknown is no loss at all. There are some remedies worse than the disease. To do two things at once is to do neither. Treat your friend as if he might become an enemy. We desire nothing so much as what we ought to not to have. What is left when honor is lost? While we stop to think, we often miss our opportunity. We should go to a pear tree, for pears not one end. Our gift of the season is a double favor to the needy. Hares can gambol over the body of a dead lion. As men, we are all equal in the presence of death. We simply rob ourselves when we make the presents to the dead. The end always passes judgment on what has gone before. Practice is the best of all instructors. To do two things at once is to do neither. The eyes are not responsible for what the mind does not the seeing. When the mind does the seeing, it is sometimes expedient to forget who we are. The wise man avoids evil by dissipating it. Anyone can hold the hand when the sea is calm. No one knows what he can do until he tries. Necessity knows no law. There is no shortcuts to any place worth going. The gods never let us love and be wise at the same time. If the human mind was simple enough to understand, we'll be too simple to understand. Is cowardice ask, is it safe? Expediency ask, is it polite? But conscious ask, is it right? Never get angry. Never make a threat. Reason with people. And it is such victory over the Romans, and we are undone. Our lives are fashioned by our choices. First we make our choices, and the choices make us. The words are spoken and actions made each day of our life of own have formed us into the person we are today, and taking good choices today and tomorrow will gradually form ourselves into the best person that we can be. It was said of Reb Shimon of Persia, as he carried two slips of paper, one in each pocket. On one he wrote, Bishli Narolanya, for the sake the world was created, for my sake the world was created. And the other he wrote, I am but dust and ashes, as a reminder of himself. He would take out each slip of paper as necessary as a reminder to himself. The balance of ego is a huge challenge for us as humans, and especially for someone who lives in a public space as I do. This quote reminds me that to live in attention of a natural state and to always be both humble and honestly believe in the infinite power of God places in each of our souls the power to change the world. Whoever does not see God everywhere does not see Him anywhere. It is not out of the ordinary things that are miraculous. Everything about us, the very existence of the world itself, is an awesome miracle that would inspire us to thank and praise the Creator. A Jew who doesn't believe in miracles is not a realist. There's no such thing as small act, there are only small people. A person should be willing to give up all his tomorrows for one today, so that he doesn't end up wasting all of his todays on one tomorrow. You marry your homework. There are two ways to live. We can live as if nothing is miracle. You can live as if everything is miracle. Life is a miracle, and we are not truly alive unless we grasp the miracle of our being. 3 times a day, Jews give thanks in our prayers. Your miracles, which are with us every day, recognizing God's involvement in every aspect of our lives and acknowledging His benevolence and His blessings of us, adds enormous meaning to life. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. It's not incumbent on you to finish the task, but neither are you free to absolve yourself from it. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Pain is a reality, suffering is a choice. I'm not a Jew with trembling knees. I'm a proud Jew with 3,700 years of civilized history. Nobody came to our aid when we were dying in the gas chambers or ovens. Nobody came to our aid when we were striving to create our country. We paid for it, we fought it, we died for it. We stand for our principles. We will defend them, and when necessary, we will die for them again, with or without your aid. He who's a wise person, the one who foresees the consequences. It's not how much or how little you have that makes you great or small, but how much or how little you can accomplish with what you have. When Rabbi Zusha of Hanoi was in his deathbed, his student found him crying. They tried to comfort him by telling him that he was almost as wise as Moses and as kind as Abraham. So he was sure to be judged positively in heaven. He replied, when I get to heaven, I will not be asked, why weren't you like Moses? Or why weren't you like Abraham? They will ask, why weren't you like Zusha? Ben Bag would say, turn it the Torah over and turn it over, for everything is in it. In reply to Albert Einstein's quote, God isn't play dice with the universe, Einstein, don't tell God what to do. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and rescue will arise for the Jews from elsewhere, and you and your father's household will perish. And who knows but that you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this and for this very occasion. God throws all of us challenges, and sometimes we don't think we have enough power, resources, patience, and strength to go through it. But during those difficult moments, God is saying to us who knows if for this reason you became who you are. You became the professional you are, the mother you are, the doctor you are, the rabbi you are, the person you are. God is always preparing you for the challenges ahead. Whenever we reach that point when we think we don't have it in us, maybe it is for that moment that we have been created. Beautiful. Seat of the soul. Wow. A bachelor should not be a matchmaker. Cool. A basic rule. I love matchmaking. God. But you better make the next 11 Nyanis matchmaking, okay? And be the mother unto them. A basic rule of caution, don't be overly cautious. A bird that you set free may be caught again. A broken nail cannot be straightened. A dead corn gives no milk. A defective bride is too pretty. A dog can't be a butcher, and a bachelor can't be a matchmaker. A dream that has not been interrupted is like an unread letter. A drowning man will grab even from the for the point of a sword. A fault finder complains even that the bride is too pretty. A fool believes everything he hears. A good dream is better than a bad one. A good name is more valuable than a velvet garment. A good tree bears good fruit. A good wife and health are a man's best wealth. A healthy person instinctively loves life. A heavy purse makes a light heart. A house divided against itself, its future is to be destroyed. A leader is not necessarily one who knows the way, but one who thinks he knows the way. A little child weighs on your knee, a big one on your heart. A man in love is a happy man. A man is not allowed to eat before he feeds his animal. A man should stay alive if only out of curiosity. A man too good for the world is no good for his wife. A man's clothes hint at his inner character. A mother understands what a child does not say. A mortal is standing among reeds. It still retains the name of mortal. A nation's future lies in its past. A people's legends reveals its character more clearly than its acts and events. A person can understand things deeply through proverbs. A person cannot create even a tiny form, but he fashions thousands of idols. A person is lonely until he finds himself. A person should not deprive pleasure from his modesty. A person should walk down in the middle of the path and not veer to one side or the other. A person who lives among the righteous and sins is worse than the one who lives among the wicked and sins. A person who travels knows a great deal. A pessimist confirmed with two-sized juices, both. A quotation at the right moment is like a bread to the hungry, a raven that brings fire to its nest, catches no flies. A small hole can sink a big ship. A store is a golden chain. Any business that, though profitable, keeps its owner tied down. Time to keep silent and time to speak. A wife is like a defensive wall for her husband. A wolf loses his head but not his nature. A woman's voice arouses lust in a man. A young man has to live, an old man wishes to live. According to the cabinet is the Lord. Adam was the luckiest of man. He had no mother-in-law. Advice often comes too late when nothing is done. Always marry for love, but it's easy to fall in love with an angry man who sleeps alone. An ill marriage is the spring of ill fortune. An intelligent mind will search for knowledge. An intelligent person is like a strong oak. He rides over his misfortune. As long as the cow can be milk, it's not brought to a slaughterer. As men age, their view change. As you make your bed, so will you lie in it. As you teach, you learn. Ask about your neighbors, then buy the house. Ask your enemy for counsel and do the reverse. At different ages, a person feels differently. At times, you'll find a people outlook in its proverbs. Attend no auctions if you have no money. Bad servants ask for advice after the deed is done. Bestless hate is serious disease. Be a pauper rather than a liar. Be careful not to cause woman to weep, for God counts her tears by exceeding lowly of his spirit, for the hope of the man is the worm. Because of money, the world became ugly. Being too nice can cost a lot. Too nice can cost a lot of money. Benevolence does not impoverish all and sundry. Better a Jew without a beard than a beard without a Jew. Better ask twice than to go wrong once. Better late ripe and beard than early blossom and blast. Better wit than wealth. Between the bad company and loneliness, the latter is preferable. Beware of the person who gives you advice according to his own interests. Shortly, as long as you're healthy. Charity and pride have different names, yet both feed the poor. Charity is the spice of riches. Chicken come home to roost. Choose your companion before taking the road. Consider the mother, woo the daughter. Constant dripping eats away a store. Dead men usually tell no tales. Dead counts was not so much. Deliver your words not by numbers but by weight. Descend a step in choosing your wife. Do not abandon us when we grow old. Do not despise an ignorant man who strives to gain knowledge, or a man of ill repute who strives to redeem his past. Do not drain the waters of your well while other people may desire them. Do not grow accustomed to uttering oaths. Do not make yourself And so big you're not so small. Do not measure the depth of a life wolf. Do not place an obstacle before a blind person. Do not pour out your dirty waters. You have clean water. Do not put all your cheese into one fritter. Do not say, I'll study when I'm free. You may never be free. Also say not, when I have the leisure, I'll study. Perchance you may not have leisure. Do not side with the majority to do wrong. Do not swallow poison because you know an antidote. Don't approach a goat from the front, a horse from the back, a fool from any side. Don't bargain when you don't have any money. Don't be choleric and you shall not sin. Don't be too sweet lest you be eaten up. Don't be too bitter lest you be spewed out. Don't enter the forest if your fear leaves. Don't follow the majority in the wrong path because the majority are not always wise. Don't gut your fish till you get them. Don't live in a town where there are no doctors. Don't make a fence more expensive or more important than it is fencing. Don't take the toil of pleasure. Don't make a toil of pleasure. Don't put all your money in your corner. In one corner, don't shame our all stir, for we will all count it among them. Don't spit in a well. You might drink from it later. Don't throw out an old friend for a new one.